Welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita Khemka. Another day of range-bound trade. Although we have snapped out of a 4-day winning streak, the Nifty just about ending around that 22,350 mark. Of course, at one point in time, we had slipped below that 22,300 mark as well. But we did, clocked in some sort of recovery around midday, in fact, which is why we've ended somewhere around 22,350 or thereabouts. Broader markets were underperforming today, so the mid-cap index in the red, but the small-cap index shed in excess of 1%. If you look at the market breadth, tilted in favor of losers. So the NSE advanced decline ratio was, in 1:2. So 700 shares gaining for every 1,500 shares declining. But what's, heartening is the fact that the Nifty Bank index managed to stage a very smart recovery from the day's low and ended above that 47,500 mark. Of course, we did slip at the start of the session, but the Nifty Bank index has maintained a 5-day winning streak and, of course, ended the day in the green with gains of somewhere around 120 points or thereabouts. And the Nifty PSU Bank index managed to hit a fresh 52-week high. So you have smaller banks like IOB, these were some of the gainers on the Nifty PSU Bank index. If you look at some of the other sectoral movers, of course, autos were buoyant in trade thanks to a smart rally in shares of Tata Motors. Of course, we'll be talking about that in details in just a bit. But aside of that, you had Airtel. That stock also managed to gain somewhere around 3% or thereabouts. You have Bajaj Auto. Of course, management was on CNBC TV 18. Of course, we'll be talking about the key takeaways from the management interview. Rajiv Bajaj was, of course, on CNBC TV 18. From that exclusive interview, we'll try and, talk about some of the pointers or key takeaways from that interview. SBI, among the top gainers, ONGC, M&M, Sun Pharma. So these are some of the gains, some of the stocks on the gaining end. On the losing end, you had Bajaj Twins, Bajaj Finserv and Bajaj Finance stuck in a downtrend. Infosys, Wipro, TCS, all these stocks were in the red today. Of course, there's been a CLSA downgrade. That weighed in on the sector. So CLSA has downgraded the likes of TCS and HCL Tech and has also maintained its sell call on Wipro as well as LTI Mindtree. So, in reaction to that, IT Pack was under pressure. That was the top sectoral laggard today. Aside of that, Nestle was another one, and SBI Life also among top losers on the Nifty. On the Nifty 500, Capri Global, that stock was up and about 20% gains coming in there. IOB, UCO Bank, Central Bank, as I was mentioning, some of the mid-cap banks, PSU banks were doing well. So all these stocks lent support to the Nifty PSU Bank index that managed to hit a fresh 52-week high today. Aside of that, Westlife was another stock that was in focus. Balaji Amines, another one that was among the top gainers on the Nifty 500 index. On the losing end, of course, IFL Finance on the back of RBI curbs took a hit and tumbled over 20%. In fact, it was locked in lower circuit. Data Patterns has been on an uptrend, but today saw some bit of cooling off. RBL Bank, All Cargo and Suzlon, these are some of the other stocks that were on the losing end on the Nifty 500 index. 2 new listings today, and both of them were solid listings, given the fact that Exicom Tele that listed at an 87% premium over its issue price, and Platinum Industries that also listed at a premium of somewhere around 35% over its issue price. And both these counters ended the day well above their IPO prices, and may have come off a bit. I think Exicom Tele ended high by about 56 to 57%, and Platinum Industries was also holding out and ended high by about 30% or thereabouts. But on that note, let me bring on board my guest for today. Joining me is Brijesh L, who's from IDBI Capital Markets. Great to have you on the show, Brijesh. We've seen some bit of cooling off. I mean, the trend has been that even if we manage to hit fresh highs, the trade turns really, as in the Nifty turns really range bound, right? Which is what happened today. Although we slipped below that 22,300 mark, but we managed to come back up around that 22,350 mark. But here on, do you see some signs of fatigue building in? Because the trade is pretty much range bound these days.
Good afternoon. So, as you said, there was a recovery in the during the day. We broke 22,300, but then the way the market has closed at hardly 49 points lower. So there has been some sideways consolidation because there was a very good breakout on Friday, 1st March. So after that, I think this is a sideways move. So we expect the Nifty to move up. 22,500 would be the immediate upside. So I think I do believe for the last three trading session there has been a sideways momentum. But then, as you rightly said, with the Bank Nifty also, the Bank Nifty has moved above 47,500 mark. So that was the intermediate resistance zone. So we are quite positive on the Bank Nifty. So I think when the Bank Nifty starts moving, and today within the Nifty space, auto is something which is contributing to the rally. So momentum is positive. Maybe for today, the way the there are if you look at the close, it is not that disappointing. I think once we start trading about 22,400 mark, there will be again the momentum will be there, and I'm pretty confident that 22,500 mark will be seen in the next one or two trading session. So buyers would be positive. Immediate support 22,200. If we break 22,200, then I believe there will be a loss of momentum. But right now, I don't have that view. I will be taking this opportunity to go long for the target of 22,500.
All right, 22,500 could be on the charts very soon, which will of course signify a fresh high for the Nifty. And of course, you also mentioned that Nifty Bank, given the fact that it has managed to defend that 47,500 mark, looks like, the setup is pretty much positive, where the Nifty Bank is concerned. But what about the Nifty PSU banking index? SBI was among the top Nifty gainers today, and all these mid-cap banks like Central Bank, UCO Bank, anything that's worthy of a trade at the current juncture?
Yeah, definitely. I think there is still the momentum is left in the Bank of Baroda and SBI. Both are looking quite strong, promising. Bank of Baroda at 278. I think this can go back to 300 levels. Maybe next 4 5 trading session. Extremely positive on Bank of Baroda. There has been a good delivery volumes and the volume breakout which has been seen today. Uh, with the PSU Bank, I think SBI is something which will also contribute to this rally. 780 was a trigger when the call writers have unwinded their short positions from the trading perspective. So immediately, I believe the risk reward ratio is quite favorable in SBI. 780 immediate 3 4 points will be the stop loss in SBI, and we can play for 790 795 purely a trading bet. But definitely there's a opportunity in SBI and Bank of Baroda.
All right, SBI and Bank of Baroda looking attractive. In fact, risk reward looking attractive there from the PSU banking space. But of course, the big one today, Tata Motors, although it was up 8% at one point in time, cooled off from the day's high. But given the fact that there has been this news flow which has triggered such a smart up move on the stock, we've had brokerages coming out with higher target prices of 1,057. But there are certain brokerages that believe that there could be some bit of downside from here. In fact, Incred has a target of 639 rupees on Tata Motors. So what are the charts really saying? Of course, it hit that 4-digit mark for the first time today, 52-week highs on the charts already. But here on, do you think could be approaching that overbought zone, or do you think there could be some more steam left to the rally in Tata Motors? And risk reward here as well, is it looking attractive?
See, the Tata Motors has been in a oversold zone for the last 4 months. So from the level of 700, 800, it is in the overbought zone. And it's not necessary if the particular stock is in overbought zone, there can be a profit booking or there can be a correction. The trend itself is so strong that we always believe the Tata Motors has a potential to rally 1150, like 1150 mark. So having said this, I never believed it would be so fast. It was a 6 months year kind of a view. The Tata Motors again the demerger kind of a story. It looks quite promising. I don't believe it will cool off so immediately. Anytime whenever it slips below 1,000 mark, maybe 950 mark, I will be the one to again re-enter the long positions, because I think somewhere the Tata Motors is poised for 1150 to 1200 on the higher side. So I would take this opportunity to again re-enter the long positions. I would wait for, since it has moved in the last 3 4 days. Any dip below 1,000 mark, I will re-enter my long positions.
All right, but what about the two-wheeler pack? Bajaj Auto came under a fair bit of selling pressure last week, but today it has seen a good recovery. And in fact, I was mentioning at the start of the show that, we had Rajiv Bajaj on CNBC TV 18 who mentioned that the company will be launching its first, in fact, the world's first CNG bike in the coming months. I think next quarter is when he has, outlined as to when they will be looking to launch this particular bike. But, interestingly, Rajiv Bajaj also made this point that the stock price closer to 12,000 rupees sounds like fair value to him. What are your thoughts on the charts? How is it looking? Do you think it could scale those levels?
Maybe if I'm looking at the weekly time frame, and in the last week there was a clear-cut profit booking, and I believe there can be slight more profit booking in the Bajaj Auto. So I am not that bullish. But purely from the charts point of view, 7,600 is the level which I'm watching. This is the 50-day moving average in the daily time frame. So I would appreciate, or I would take the long positions only when I see those level. Maybe only because in the last week there has been a distribution and a quite good amount of profit booking was seen in Bajaj Auto. So even though if it heads higher, there is always a probability that this might come lower. So fresh long position definitely one should avoid. So wait for the decline closer to 7,600. That is the level to watch for. That too, if we see a buying volumes at those points, then we can take a buy trade setup, or else I would avoid.
All right, that's the view on Bajaj Auto. But, another stock that was making headlines today was IFL Finance, right? 20% down. Of course, RBI has put curbs on disbursing gold loans. Competitors like Manappuram and Muthoot, they saw a good up move today. But particularly for IFL Finance, do you see any kind of major breakdown now that the stock has slumped 20%?
Maybe I think the damage has been done. So we don't have any buy trade setup right now. So, but I would not make any fresh trades at this level. Somebody who having a position will take a little longer time to get out of the stock. Maybe it's a whole kind of a view. Specific fresh entry should not be made, is what I believe. Those who already have a position can hold the position. Should not make the new entry at this stock.
What about Manappuram and Muthoot?
I think Muthoot, from those points, I think from the morning's day's high, the stock has already given up its gain. So Muthoot was something which was correcting in the last the couple of days. So I think Muthoot, from the charts point of view, it was just a spike what we saw because of the island effects. So there is nothing much in the stock. Muthoot and Manappuram both we need for another quarter result to take the positional bets. But then the slight corrections from the current level, we can always have a trading bets. But positional, I would like to avoid in this counter.
All right, avoid positional play. In fact, avoid this stock as a positional play right now. But talk about a Zomato. This stock has seen a very good momentum, right? It hit that 175 rupee mark recently. Today, of course, there was some bit of pressure. But how is Zomato looking on the charts now? It's hurtling towards that 200 rupee mark. Do the charts suggest more upside?
Directional trend is positive, but then having said this, I also believe there can be slight profit booking close to 150, 155 level. Further 10 points correction is much more, very much possible in this Zomato. So even though we are positive towards 180, 190 level on the higher side, before that, I believe there would be a one leg of correction, which will take the Zomato somewhere close to 150, 155 mark. So once we see those levels, I think one can play that 155 to 180, 185, that 30, 40 points kind of a trade setup whenever it comes to 155 mark. At this point, definitely some profit booking should come in the Zomato.
Okay, and Samvardhana Motherson, this stock was a buzz. I mean, there are reports or buzz of a big block deal coming in the counter, which is why I think we saw the stock spurt somewhere around 6%. In the last few hours of the trading session, right? Any positions here in Samvardhana Motherson?
It would be more of a trading bet. Today the stock was up by almost 5%. So we can play because extension of this move can be seen. So we'll talk about another 5-8% kind of a trading opportunity. No fresh trades at this level because after seeing another 5-6 point of rally close to 130, 135, the profit booking can come in Motherson, someone in Motherson. So it's a cautious view. Don't make the fresh entry. Somebody is having a position close to 130, 130, within 130, 135, try to book profits.
Right, that's the view then. No fresh positions, but try to book profits. Polycab saw a good up move today, Brijesh. Any level that you're mapping there?
It's again a trading opportunity. There was a range breakout, so it's a FNO bet. What we can see in Polycab, there was a gap down during the start of the Jan month, and it has now at the verge. It has almost filled that gap. The trend of the Polycab is corrective on the downside. So there is no fresh trade setup. Momentum is that, so we can play for another 100, 150 odd points on the upside. But I'm not really confident whether this will be a positional bet or not. So today, after a very long time, there was a range breakout, and the candlestick pattern is quite promising. So today the stock was up by 2.5%. So we can talk another 3-4% on the higher side. Once we see those points, I think profit booking may again come in the Polycab.
Okay, IT stocks, they have been consistent underperformers if you look at the last couple of weeks, right? And today, of course, there was a kind of a downbeat view from CLSA coming in, and they had downgraded the likes of TCS and HCL Tech. Is it time to, if somebody is making some profit in any of these IT names, would you advise booking out? Or do you think hold is a good or prudent way to approach IT stocks?
I think the hold would be the better view to take right now at current level. But in the IT mid-cap space, one stock which we are finding it quite risk-reward ratio, and possibly the downtrend is done is the LTR Mindtree. This is one stock which we are tracking. So we believe this can find the bottom at this price. With the stop loss of 5,200, I think somebody wants to take a positional bet, or maybe early reversals can be seen in LTR Mindtree. So we are closely keeping a watch on this.
All right. Any trade that you're spotting in the life insurance space? HDFC Life was fairly buoyant yesterday. Of course, today I think gave up some of the gains, but Max Life, HDFC Life, anything looking worthy of a bet?
Not exactly. It's again a trading opportunity, but then we do have a positional bet on the SBI Life. So recently there was a quite good run up in the SBI Life. So again, it is coming back to the support zone. 1480 to 1460 is the level where we always like to take the long trades in the SBI Life, because directionally we believe more than HDFC Life, SBI Life will be something which will give much more returns as compared to both the stocks. So in the whatever the corrections we are seeing in SBI Life, closer to 1460, 1470, we'll re-enter the long positions. I think in the near term, 1650, 1700 can be seen in the SBI Life.
All right. Of course, those were all the stocks that were buzzing in today's session. But Brijesh, before I let you go, anything that you would like to suggest for viewers over the next couple of trading sessions, or with a 1 to 2 week time horizon?
Yeah, definitely. Today, after a very long time, the Bharti Airtel has started moving up. It has given a very clear range breakout. At this level, 1168, I think it's quite, one can easily take the momentum trade, and we can play for another 5-8% on the current level. So that remains one of the pick. We can see 1200 on the higher side during the end of this expiry. So somebody wants to take a call option can also take the call. In the money call option can also be bought, or if somebody wants to take a cash position can also take the cash position. I believe Bharti Airtel can see 1200 level on the highest side.
All right, Bharti Airtel looking like a good bet with a 1 to 2 week perspective. With that, Brijesh, thanks a lot for taking out time and joining in this afternoon and sharing your thoughts on so many stocks with us, and of course also sharing your recommendations with us. Wish you a very happy evening and a good trading day tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, but before I say goodbye for the day, well, I want to mark an important development. Well, in a much awaited move, Bloomberg announced that it will add Indian bonds to its emerging market indices from the 31st of January 2025. Now, the decision comes after the Bloomberg Index Services Advisory Committee suggested adding Indian government bonds to its EM local currency index in mid-February. Now, talks of the inclusion of the Indian bonds in the Bloomberg EM index has been going around since JP Morgan Chase announced its inclusion in its benchmark in September last year. Now, the inclusion combined with the one in the JP Morgan EM index will result in a rush of foreign inflows into the country. In fact, DBS Bank India spoke to CNBC TV18 about this development, and they said that they expect $3 to $4 billion worth of inflows due to the inclusion in Bloomberg EM bond indices, and inflows will be a little less as the inclusion is in the EM index and not the Bloomberg Global Bond Index. Well, of course, that was the important development that came out in the second half of the session today. Of course, with that, I think it's time to say goodbye. We've covered a lot of stocks this afternoon. Of course, a whole lot of stocks will be in focus tomorrow as well. And of course, I'll be back with opening bell at 9 a.m. So don't forget to tune in, and of course, keep sending your stock related queries. We'll try and take them up with our technical expert on the show. And of course, for now, it's a goodbye from me. Thanks a lot for tuning in. But you guys stay tuned to Money Control for all your other news and updates.